You are watching Pause. We pause for a second or two. How do we keep life coherent when so much is changing? This is episode 238, Traction Across Epochs. Right now, there is a lot changing all at once. Right now there is a lot making us tired, very tired. The emotional situation that we are talking about today is our worn out situation. It is for those times when we feel tired, when we feel at our wits' end, like we can't really go any further. We want to, but we feel that we are running on fumes. This is our worn out situation. And the emotional skill that we're talking about today is a specific skill, traction. And traction is specific for our worn out situation. As you can see on the image of specific skill traction, you can see two hands sort of connecting and having this sort of contact. And you can sense that there is some pressure between the hands. They're pushing somewhat against each other to achieve traction. Specific skill traction is about that when we achieve and strive for the sense of doing something together, even when it might be something difficult or painful. When we strive for doing this thing together and we strive for traction, that sense of connection, pressure, going somewhere together, even when we do not really know where. When we have traction, we can work extremely hard without getting that tired. So traction is like the best skill to develop when we feel worn out. When we have traction, it's not really... We can feel very tired and still be able to move on, to move forward when we have traction. With traction, being worn out is not the end of the world. Without traction, it might be. When we try to do everything alone, when we have no traction, when we feel like we're isolated, then being worn out can be dangerous. It's not good. Today's episode is called Traction Across Epochs. And today we're talking about one way of getting in touch with traction. One source of traction, if you will. The most common form of traction, the one we make use of the most, is as we meet one another. As we, in the here and now, are doing something together. And there is this interplay between us. And then when we put some pressure on each other, when it's just right, then we can work very hard together. That's the most common form of traction. Our everyday kind of traction. Today, however, we are talking about traction across epochs. And what this is about is that the sense of traction is like an essence. It's like this quality to life that we just know. We don't need to learn it, and we cannot really forget this sort of quality. It just is. And traction across epochs is about that we have different ways of recording things. We have different ways of creating representations of our life. We have different ways of creating different physical manifestations of traction. So perhaps you have a favorite book. Perhaps you have a favorite recording. Perhaps you have a favorite painting. Perhaps you have a favorite building, a house. Perhaps you have a favorite place somewhere. And all these different examples, the book, the recording, the painting, the house, the place. These are different examples of recordings, different examples of representations of someone who at some point felt traction doing something, felt traction with another person. Sometimes when you read a book, for example, behind the words, you just know the person behind. You can feel them. You feel the traction. You don't have to think. You just know. And in these times, when there is so much changing, when we want coherence, when we want our lives to feel whole, we do not want to feel scattered. We want to feel whole, coherent. In these times, when so much is changing rapidly, all at once, everywhere, traction across epochs can prove essential. It is a great complement to the traction that we strive for in our everyday life. So those two kinds of traction, if we will, the traction between one another in our daily life, working together here and now, and the traction we can feel throughout history, across epochs, in books, recordings, paintings, houses, places. These two together creates, it's almost like an energy, but it's more of a reassurance. It's more of a motivation. Like when we have traction and when we have the prospect of future traction, more traction down the road, it makes us want to move forward. It makes us want to move forward even when we feel worn out, even when we are worn out, like now. So let's conclude this episode with taking this subject a bit closer to home. So I'm asking you to think about one source of traction across epochs that is important to you. Could be a book, could be a recording, could be a painting, a house, a place, or anything else that comes to your mind. And once you have that one source inside yourself, or perhaps you're sitting with it right now, perhaps you're looking at the book right now, there is something there. There is something in that source, in that representation, that is telling you something. There is something there, or there is a person behind the representation. There is a person who has written it or created it or built it. that you achieve traction with a specific kind of traction, working towards a specific goal. Might not be a concrete goal, can be more of an attitude or a way of life. But there is something there in your example, in your piece of traction. Telling you to do something. Telling you to take another step, to explore something. And it has this quality that makes you want to move forward, even though you feel completely drained. Like you cannot take another step, but you are taking another step. That kind of traction. And it could be that from the time when your example was created, could be hundreds of years ago, could be thousands of years ago, could be last year. The time that has passed from that moment until now, when it comes to traction, does not matter. The traction is never diminished, no matter how much time passes. That's a beautiful part about traction. It just is. And once it is, it cannot be undone. It just is. And it's this quality, its permanence across time, that makes it so powerful in helping us move forward, even though we are completely drained. It just is. So there is this connection between us and this sort of quality that is free from time. It just knows that this thing needs to be done. Traction is a very good thing to be loyal to. To look for traction, to listen for traction. Where do I find traction? Go there. Start there. Build upon that, because it moves us forward. That's it for today. Thank you.